Many goods are heavily discounted. Many goods are heavily discounted. Purchasing power is weak, input materials are cooling, and many goods, especially food, are now down by tens of percent compared to the same period last year. Ms. Oanh, leader of a footwear sewing line in Tan Binh district, Ho Chi Minh City, said that recently she was less stressed when she went to the market to buy food every morning. Eggs, meat, and vegetables are now down 10 to 30% compared to the same period last year. Some are even down 50%, she said. Records at traditional markets and modern supermarkets also showed that the group of green vegetables fell the most. Specifically, vegetables such as lettuce, watercress, and broccoli range from 25,000 to 35,000 VND per kilogram, down 30%. The group of vegetables and spices decreased by half, with tomatoes, cucumbers, and green onions now costing 10,000 Vietnamese dongs minus 30,000 per kilogram, depending on the type. Reduced by 10 to 30% are fresh foods like pork, beef, and chicken. Currently, pork belly at traditional markets has decreased from 180,000 Vietnamese dongs per kilogram to VND 150,000 to 160,000. Industrial chicken wings and thighs have decreased from 80,000 Vietnamese dongs per kilogram to 45,000 minus 60,000 Vietnamese dongs. From the peak last year of 45,000 Vietnamese dongs, 10 eggs, to now 32,000 Vietnamese dongs, large industrial chickens decreased by 10,000 Vietnamese dongs to 30,000 Vietnamese dongs. Fruits such as plum, lychee, and wallach mango also decreased by 10 to 20%. Goods plunged, according to small traders, due to reduced purchasing power in the market while supply was abundant. This year, the rain is not as much as usual, so the vegetable production has increased. Instead, purchasing power decreased by 20 to 30% over the same period, causing prices of many goods to plummet, said Heen, a small vegetable trader at New Hamlet Market, Go Vap District. A report of the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development showed that the supply of cattle, poultry, vegetables, and fruits in the first 5 months of the year increased by 3 to 5% over the same period. Therefore, the prices of many goods tend to fall sharply. Transportation costs cooled down by 5 to 7% thanks to a 30% decrease in gasoline and oil prices in the first 6 months compared to the same period last year, which also helped commodity prices go down. If the price of raw 95.3 gasoline in the adjustment period on June 21, 2022, peaked at 32,870 Vietnamese dongs a liter, now it is 22,010 Vietnamese dongs a liter. Similarly, the price of diesel dropped from 30,000 Vietnamese dongs to 18,000 Vietnamese dongs per liter. In Ho Chi Minh City, freight carriers said they had adjusted freight rates by 10 to 25%. Accordingly, instead of 2,000 Vietnamese dongs per kilogram of goods for long-distance transport routes over 500 kilometers, it is now 1,500 Vietnamese dongs per kilogram. Price reductions of 50,000 to 150,000 VND per trip are available for goods transported in blocks. Speaking to VN Express, the director of a cooking oil and spice manufacturer in Ho Chi Minh City said that in the first 5 months of this year, his business has eased pressure to increase prices when freight rates and raw materials turned down. In addition, the decrease in raw materials for processing around the world also helps many products be produced cheaper. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, said global basic food prices in the first 5 months of this year fell by 21% compared to the same period last year. The Food and Agriculture Organization's, FAO, Food Price Index also showed that the world's most traded basic staples, such as cereals, milk, and cooking oil, have fallen by 22% a year. In particular, vegetable oil prices fell the most, with a correction of 48%, reflecting a simultaneous decline in palm oil, soybean oil, grapeseed oil, and sunflower seed oil. The World Bank's deputy chief economist, Ihan Kosei, said that global commodity prices are in a downtrend. The reason is that as the world economy slows down, the impact of wars and epidemics causes purchasing power to decrease. However, according to him, the economy will be better in 2024 if central banks have a way of adjusting monetary policy in accordance with the market context. Domestically, manufacturing enterprises said the market is showing slight signs of recovery. Modern retailers in Ho Chi Minh City saw purchasing power increase by 1 to 2% in the first 6 months of the year. Therefore, they expect that in the third quarter, the commodity market will be active again as the holiday season takes place. Based on the news in the VN Express newspaper on Monday, June 26, 2023. This content is mainly for the purpose of learning and expanding your English vocabulary. We are learning American English. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Thank you for considering subscribing to see more exciting videos. Summary. Many goods, especially food, are now down by tens of percent compared to the same period last year in Ho Chi Minh City. Purchasing power is weak, and input materials are cooling, causing many goods to be heavily discounted. Green vegetables, such as lettuce, watercress, and broccoli, have fallen by 30%, while fresh foods like pork, beef, and chicken have decreased by 10 to 30%. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development reported that the supply of cattle, poultry, vegetables, and fruits increased by 3 to 5% in the first 5 months of the year, causing prices of many goods to plummet. Transportation costs cooled down by 5 to 7% due to a 30% decrease in gasoline and oil prices in the first 6 months compared to the same period last year. In Ho Chi Minh City, freight carriers have adjusted freight rates by 10 to 25%, resulting in price reductions of 50,000 to 150,000 VND per trip. The decrease in raw materials for processing around the world also helps many products be produced cheaper. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, reported that global basic food prices fell by 21% compared to the same period last year, with vegetable oil prices falling the most. The World Bank's deputy chief economist, Ihan Kosei, said that global commodity prices are in a downtrend due to the impact of wars and epidemics on purchasing power. However, the economy will be better in 2024 if central banks adjust monetary policy in accordance with the market context.
Some comments below.
Unemployment is increasing, and workers are tightening their belts. Many goods fell sharply to stimulate the consumer retail industry, which is in a gloomy period.
This economic downturn has left many individuals struggling to make ends meet. With unemployment on the rise, people are being forced to tighten their belts and cut back on expenses. In an effort to boost the struggling consumer retail industry, many goods have been heavily discounted. Despite these efforts, the outlook remains bleak for many businesses and individuals alike. The impact of this economic downturn is far-reaching, affecting not only those who have lost their jobs but also those who are still employed but struggling to make ends meet. As we navigate through these challenging times, it is important that we come together as a community to support one another and find ways to weather this storm.
I see that Vietnamese people spend a lot of money on breakfast. The average breakfast shop increases in price by 10 to 20% per year, especially when input prices increase. They go even higher now that input prices have decreased. Because of the high price and the unreasonable price increase I hate, plus the food hygiene and safety, I tried to reduce breakfast outside for nearly a month, bought it to cook by myself, found it almost 50% cheaper, and was assured of food safety and hygiene. If I am picky, I cook for 2 sessions.
Cooking breakfast at home has become my new routine. Not only am I saving a lot of money, but I also have complete control over the ingredients and cooking methods. I experiment with different recipes and flavors, making each morning meal a unique experience. I wake up a little earlier to allow myself enough time to prepare and savor my breakfast. It has become a peaceful and enjoyable part of my day. I have even started to invite friends over for breakfast on weekends, impressing them with my culinary skills. Cooking breakfast at home has not only improved my financial situation but also my overall well-being.
It is also necessary to adapt to difficult times and cut spending. Real estate speculative borrowers have fallen deeply without liquidity and have to pay more bank interest every month to really suffer.
This has led to a decrease in property prices, making it a buyer's market. However, it is important to approach these purchases with caution and do thorough research before making any investments. Additionally, cutting spending can be difficult but necessary in order to weather tough economic times. This may mean making sacrifices in areas such as entertainment and dining out, but it can ultimately lead to a more stable financial situation. It is also important for individuals and businesses alike to explore alternative sources of income and diversify their portfolios to mitigate risk. Overall, adapting to difficult times requires a combination of careful planning, smart investments, and a willingness to make tough choices when necessary.
Purchasing power plummeted too. I work in the construction materials business, and the order is less than half of last year.
This downturn has been felt across the industry, with many businesses struggling to stay afloat. The pandemic has had a profound impact on the economy, and the construction materials business is no exception. With purchasing power plummeting, many companies have been forced to cut back on orders and reduce their workforce. This has resulted in a significant drop in revenue for many businesses, including my own. As someone who works in this industry, I have seen firsthand how challenging it can be to navigate these uncertain times. However, despite the difficulties we face, I remain optimistic about the future. By staying focused on our customers' needs and finding innovative ways to adapt to this new reality, I believe that we can weather this storm and emerge stronger than ever before.
Never before, with the rise in base wages, have prices fallen. Hopefully, this decline will continue until the end of the year for wage earners who are less strenuous.
This could potentially lead to a boost in consumer spending as people have more disposable income. However, it's important to note that the relationship between wages and prices is complex and multifaceted. Other factors, such as supply and demand, can also influence pricing. Additionally, some economists argue that a decrease in prices could lead to deflation, which can have negative consequences for the economy as a whole. Ultimately, it remains to be seen how this trend will play out in the long term and what impact it will have on individuals and businesses alike.
Food demand is non-elastic. Even discounts don't stimulate consumption very much. Producers should band together to keep prices down and maintain profitability.
This is because food is a necessity, and people will always need to eat, regardless of the price. However, this doesn't mean that producers can charge exorbitant prices without consequence. Consumers may opt for cheaper alternatives or reduce their overall consumption if prices become too high. Therefore, it's important for producers to find a balance between affordability and profitability. One way to achieve this is by forming cooperatives or associations that can collectively negotiate better prices for inputs and equipment. Additionally, investing in technology and innovation can help increase efficiency and reduce costs, which can be passed on to consumers in the form of lower prices. Ultimately, it's crucial for producers to prioritize long-term sustainability over short-term gains, as maintaining a loyal customer base is key to success in the food industry.
Stable prices will be happy, and discounts like this for a long time will become deflation. In Japan, many prices stand still. The economy has been stagnant for more than 3 decades, and thinking about it has become boring. Economists fear deflation more than inflation.
Deflation can lead to a vicious cycle of declining demand and economic activity. It can also make it harder for people to pay off debts, as the value of money increases over time. However, some argue that mild deflation can be beneficial for consumers, as it encourages them to save and invest rather than spend impulsively. In any case, stable prices are generally seen as a sign of a healthy economy. The challenge for policymakers is to strike the right balance between promoting growth and avoiding harmful inflation or deflation. In Japan, the government has tried various measures to stimulate the economy, including monetary easing and fiscal stimulus. While these policies have had some success in boosting growth and inflation, they have not been enough to break the cycle of stagnation. Ultimately, sustained economic growth will require structural reforms and innovation, as well as a willingness to embrace change and take risks.
I work in my hometown in the countryside for a living. Get up early in the morning to cook or warm up rice to eat with peanut and sesame, drink 1 cup of homemade coffee, and listen to one instrumental song before going to work. Sometimes I go to the morning market to buy cakes or noodle soup to cook for myself. During the year, it is almost rare to go to breakfast at the restaurant.
Working in the countryside has its perks. I enjoy the peace and quiet that come with living away from the city. My mornings are usually slow and steady, with a simple breakfast of rice and peanut or sesame sauce. I love brewing my own coffee, it's a great way to start my day. Listening to instrumental music helps me relax and prepare for work. On occasion, I visit the morning market to buy some cakes or noodle soup for breakfast. It's always nice to try something new. However, I prefer cooking at home and rarely go out for breakfast at a restaurant throughout the year. It's just more convenient and economical to prepare my meals at home. Overall, my mornings are simple yet satisfying, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
This content is primarily intended to help you acquire and expand your English vocabulary. We are learning American English. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Thank you for considering subscribing to see more exciting videos.